It seems like an endless quest to make our waistlines skinnier while the weight loss industry makes their pockets fatter. The FDA has only approved 2 diet drugs in the last decade, Orlistat, better known as Ally, you remember that one, and Belvic. So the excitement over the approval of the latest weight loss drug, Qsymia, is understandable. This could be a money-making machine for its maker, Vivis. And with me now to crunch the numbers is Dr. Potarazu, CEO of Vital Spring Technologies. Dr. P, thanks for joining us tonight.
Thanks for having me back.
So what do you think about this drug? I mean, is this a huge breakthrough?
It is a huge breakthrough because, up until now, there haven't been a lot of choices available for people that are obese. Surgery is not an easy option. So the fact that there is something out there that at least looks promising in all of the studies so far, I think is a big deal. The impact, as you know, of obesity from an economic standpoint is huge. By 2030, if we don't do anything, about 50% of adults are technically going to be obese.
That's incredible. That's incredible.
Yeah, that's it.
1.5 billion overweight people in the world right now. 500 million of them are considered obese. What makes you think that this drug might work, and what are the potential side effects? What have you heard so far?
Well, what we've heard so far is that it can work, and the recommendation is that for somebody of a BMI of 27 or higher with some other comorbid condition like high blood pressure or diabetes is the indication. There's always the fear of side effects related to the heart, and that's something that everybody is always a little bit leery of because this medication is a combination of an appetite suppressant plus another chemical that's typically used to treat migraines. So they do have effects on the circulatory system, the cardiac system. So that's something that we have to look out for.
But being overweight is really bad for your heart as well. So, I mean, those are obviously things that you have to weigh together. What do you think, in terms of dollars, how big of a blockbuster do you think this could be? Because I just think about a drug like Ally, which did really well. It did 184 million in sales in 2007, but then it dipped down in 2008 to about half that.
Yeah.
It seems like a drug that was very popular but kind of petered out. Is that what generally happens?
Well, in this case, so far, insurance is not going to cover it. And so the push is to get employers and insurance companies to start covering it. The second thing is, Melissa, is if you look at the demographics of people that are typically obese, and you look at the correlation, it's typically the lower socioeconomic part of our economy in our demographics that are dealing with obesity. So it's the people that may not necessarily be able to pay cash.
Least afford. At the same time,
right.
I mean, the company's got to make money. They put so much money into developing this drug. They've got to make it back. That's what their shareholders want to hear. The CEO was on in the last hour with Liz Clayman. Let's play a little bit of that.
Pharmaceutical industry, a blockbuster drug is one that sells $1 billion or more. Will this be that?
Yeah, well, when you think about 108 million American adults who are overweight or obese that could potentially be patients for this therapy, certainly we're talking about very, very significant product sales potential.
So, he didn't deny what she said. He basically said he thinks it's on track to make $1 billion. It's important to remember we want these drugs to be cheap so that people can use them. But there has to be a financial reward, or else companies aren't going to invest in developing them, right? How much money does it take to develop a drug like this?
Oh, they've probably spent hundreds of millions of dollars. I know they have. It's taken them about 10 years in development to get it to this point, let alone the whole approval process with the FDA. So it's a big deal. And if they're banking on that 108 million folks who are potentially the target market. And the interesting thing is that, obesity is technically defined above a BMI, a body mass index of 30. They're using a criteria of 27, which means that, that's people that are overweight but not really obese. So what they're telling people is that they think the market is much larger in terms of their projections. But I come back to the earlier point that if somebody can't afford it, and that's typically the people who are affected by obesity and some other complications, well, then you're really not offering it to those people that really need it. And are we going to make a long-term impact in the overall economics of obesity? The jury's going to be out.
But they've got to make money or else they'll never go in the business of developing drugs. This is the back and forth we have in pharmaceuticals all the time. Thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, absolutely.
Dr. Pete,
Thank you.
Thank you so much for your insight. Exciting stuff.